reasonably close. Show me what you got. Contact. I'm the GOAT, you're not. Come and get it. You can be my
Max Verstappen claims title number 3.
Time lucky for Charles Leclerc. 2 pole positions and 2 heartbreaks later. Finally, Charles Leclerc has won the Monaco Grand Prix after some first lap drama. He grew up on these streets. Now he is the master of them. Welcome to the Monaco Grand Prix post-race show. And welcome down here to the pit lane. We are in and amongst it in the melee of the celebrations at Ferrari. Jack Doohan is our co-host for this show, and we've dragged in Arthur Leclerc as well. Can you begin, Arthur? I'll come to you first. Can you begin to sum up the emotions that you are feeling right now and what Charles is also feeling?
It's just crazy. I think you can hear my voice is a bit cracked. But yeah, no, it's the first time I cry when I see my brother win. So no, it's just amazing. I mean, for all these years, we just dreamed to be racing here. I remember with my parents, we were going to the grandstand, like I was telling you, and just to drive here was something crazy. So to win here is just something over the moon. So yeah, I'm so happy, and I wish that my father was here to see this moment.
Yeah, Charles spoke of how he was speaking of your father through those last few laps as well. I think he got us all choked up in commentary there and in presentation, listening to what he said in that radio. And I imagine that was a very emotional moment for you as well. What do you think you would have said to Charles, and how do you think you'd have felt on a day like this?
Yeah, I mean, just everything from pre-practice to race. I've been crazy. The last laps, I was shaking. Just yeah, butterflies everywhere. Just yeah, you cannot imagine what it's mean to us, what happened here, so proud.
Yeah, it's a super proud and I'd imagine a very emotional moment for you as well. Jack, I'm going to come to you. Look, we'll be honest, it was not a classic race at all, but it's an incredible result, certainly for home hero Charles Leclerc. What did you make of what we've seen here on the streets of Monte Carlo?
You know, I think to the eye and for the viewers, it was not obviously the most entertaining race, but I think from the driver's standpoint, they went 77 laps on a hard tire. Like, that is no easy feat. And doing it with a McLaren and a teammate, you know, right behind you for the whole way. You know, Monaco is 110% concentration. You know, me and Arthur both drove him ourselves in Formula 2 last year, and it takes a lot to do it. But for 77 laps on one compounded tire that is falling away after every turn, and with a car behind you, he did a amazing job pulling away as well that last 10 laps when everyone thought he might be dropping away. So just sensational, I think, an amazing drive, and I don't think anyone can't be happy for him and the whole family.
And before this, Charles, yes, has been on pole position twice, but he's never started the race on pole. Today, he had to do 2 starts. I'd imagine you were pretty nervous watching that, but the pressure that must have heaped on his shoulders, which he withstood.
I had a lot of pressure for the first starts, but then I saw there was a second start, so it was even more pressure. I think they wanted to kill me at the race control, but no, yeah, it was just something crazy, like I said, and as well, like the race, you could see that it was a really special race, as the fastest lap time went in the end, which is not usual in normal stint, where the tires are better in the beginning and worse at the end. So yeah, the management was really crucial to win this race, and to keep Piastri and Sainz behind as well was really important. So yeah.
I can see Fred Vasseur just over your shoulder. We will hope to grab a chat with him. He is making his way with a very large trophy over there. I'd imagine he's a very happy team boss. Have you managed to speak to him just yet?
He's really happy. He congratulated me. Actually, I didn't do anything, but no, yeah, he's really, really happy, and I think everyone is so happy about what happened here.
And look, I know we joked about it yesterday, about the fact that Piastri has been adopted by your family,
yeah.
But you must be happy for him as well, P2.
Of course, I'm really happy. I mean, Oscar is someone, we were in the same team, so obviously I know him well, and yeah, I'm really happy about him. I mean, to see his progression into Formula 1, he's proving once more that he's really, really fast, so yeah, just really, really proud for him.
There was no family love out there, though. That first lap, he was bearing down on Charles, wasn't he? At some point, I thought he might get it.
My nephew now. I will have a chat here.
Calm my brother down, all right?
Uncle say, calm down. Yeah, no, I need to calm him down a bit, but no, he was really strong. Yeah.
I'm going to let you go and join these celebrations because it looks incredible around us. But can I just ask, Charles said this is going to be a very big night for all of us celebrating here. Can you give us an insight to what's planned for a party tonight for the Leclerc family?
Yeah, it's time to party now. If
you want,
you can
about
come.
that, don't you?
Or you're Alpine, you can.
I put red on, don't worry.
Yeah, you're invited if you want, but yeah,
you.
big party.
We'll see. We'll get the invite. Thank you very much.
At the Leclerc residence, or?
I will tell you the place. I keep it quiet for the moment.
I love it. Otto, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Wonderful to hear your thoughts, and
Thank you.
congratulations on a brilliant day for you as well. Thank you. Enjoy the celebrations. Lovely. Jack, goodness me, we grabbed Arthur just as we could, and here we are in all the melee. I'm going to keep looking over my shoulder to see if we can grab Fred. Yeah, we'll get him in a minute. But as we said, not a classic race.
No, not at all.
But I think you're right in saying that drivers' skill in terms of nursing those tyres and making sure that they could push when they needed to was key here. And doing it in Monaco and doing it relentlessly and over again. And we had very few little dinks after our first lap chaos.
You know, it's very, very difficult. It was a masterclass really by all the drivers. And I'm looking there at the racecraft, having a look at all the drivers and some of the gaps. What you don't think is, I saw there Yuki Tsunoda in a position where he's got 14 seconds behind him, 48 seconds in front of him, and he's got the track basically for private hire for himself. But what you don't get is it is so easy to just slightly lose the concentration when you're there on autopilot lap after lap, and it's just coming so easy. And 40 laps in, you're over an hour, and your brain will just start to float and think, okay, we've got this under control, and that's when something can happen. So it's so important that you stay on it at all times, keep the mind working, speaking with the engineer, looking at the strategy, because although there wasn't much on-track action, it was a field day for our strategists and our tyre engineers and everyone in between, because that was just constant.
It really was. And look, first points as well for Alpine, for Gasly, first points for Williams, for Albon. There's a lot going on to unpack. Let's take a look at the start, though, first of all. The first start, that is. We had Sainz versus Piastri, and then we had the almighty crash between Perez, Magnussen and Hülkenberg. And first of all, we are so glad to see that all of those drivers are coming out of that one okay. But how did you see that start?
It was a bit of a blur. I'm sure it was for all of them. I think it's so tight going up there through Beau Rivage, and there's not the room for even two or if not more cars. So it was a shame, a massive racing incident which has had major consequences and at such high speed as well. Credit to the safety, the barriers, everything that managed to keep us all and keep the drivers okay, because that was an almighty shunt.
Yeah, full credit as well to the advancements in safety in Formula One, that we saw Sergio Perez's car and yet we saw him walking away from that. It was absolutely astounding. We can now hear from Sergio Perez and Nico Hülkenberg.
Obviously never a nice incident to be involved with. Firstly, how are you feeling and what's your read of how that all kind of went down?
Yeah, I think, I was with my front alongside Perez's rear from the exit of turn 1, in the run up to turn 3. And he goes towards the wall. The wall comes a little bit back towards the track. And, I have nowhere to go. So I don't know if he didn't see me or what, but, I can't just disappear out of the blue. So I made contact with the wall and him at the same time, and unfortunately we had a crash.
How frustrating is it, especially because you made a good start? I think you'd passed 2 cars by that point and you were trying to recover what's been a difficult weekend overall.
It's always frustrating, It's also, a crash like this it's a big cost for the team, in terms of spare parts and having to make new parts. A lot of work for the guys, and it's just never good.
Hard luck, thank you. Hey Chake, well, glad to see you're okay firstly, because that was obviously a big impact. Just talk me through it from your perspective.
Yeah, it's lap 1. We were obviously, I lost a position to one of the Alphas, and obviously it's lap 1. It's just important. If you are not in the right position, automatically you're gonna end up losing. So I was getting out of the corner. I had basically, if you see my onboard, there is no point where you see Kevin, and I was just pretty surprised that he kept it flat at that point, because it was just very unnecessary. You know, like we had a lot of damage. We had a very dangerous incident, and also very disappointed that it didn't got investigated, because it was a massive incident. My car is completely destroyed, and I have a lot of damage.
Yeah, there is, like you said, so much damage to the car. How much do you think that's going to impact things going forward for the team? But also for you, it's frustrating because it's another race weekend that hasn't quite gone to plan.
Yeah, it's very, very frustrating, but I trust my team. Hasn't been a straightforward weekend, but we will come back very strong.
Thank you.
Oh, what a day for Haas, for Sergio Perez, and indeed for Red Bull, with Max Verstappen with his worst finish of the season as well. Not the day for them. Your reaction then to the crash that we saw? It was deemed a racing incident, of course. So many in lap 1 are, just due to the nature of the racing. How did you see it, though? And I mean, could it have been avoided in any way?
You know, it's very difficult to say. Your lap 1 of Monaco, it's so difficult to overtake. You take every opportunity that you can get, whether it's half a chance. You know, up there, like I said, through Beau Rivage, it's coming left, right, back on itself. So wherever you position the car, then it's going to be the inside, then the outside for the next corner. Very difficult to see as well. Sergio in his position, he's looking eyes forward. He has 15 cars in front of him where, you know, K-Man can understand in his side of things too. He's looking to take in a position, and all his focus is just on the car in front. So it was very, very unfortunate. I think the takeaway, regardless, everyone was safe. You know, the FIA, the marshals, everyone did an astonishing job to get us back restarted in a very, very slim amount of time. So credit to them, because everyone's here to see racing, and we got back racing. Everyone was safe, prepared, and I think that's the major takeaway from today.
Jack, we're going to come to what happened with Alpine in just a moment. We are having some sort of plinth wheeled into us. Fred Vasseur has joined us. I think the trophy is being placed in front of us. This is chaotic. Fred's just clearing his throat. Fred Vasseur, congratulations. Charles Leclerc is a winner in Monaco, and Ferrari have picked up their second of the season. Can you sum up the emotions for the team and for yourself right now?
But it's a very good feeling for sure that it was important for the team. I don't want to speak about me, but it was important for the team and important for Charles. You know the situation. A couple of times in Monaco he was unlucky or whatever. And at the end of the day, it was an important milestone also for him. I think it's important to tick this box, and now it's done, and let's be focused on the next one. Let's enjoy tonight first.
I've heard there's a big party, Fred. Are we invited?
The prince invited me at the party tonight, but I have to stay calm. I already sent some champagne on the prince.
Fred, can I ask, there was an enormous amount of pressure for Charles on what is an incredibly significant weekend for him, and one in which he's fallen short a couple of times. What's he been like this week, behind closed doors?
Honestly, that I felt him a bit stressed last year when we came to Monaco, and he was much more relaxed this year. From lap 1, FP1, he was flying, that he had a mega pace all the sessions. Even when we had a tough moment, beginning of Q1, that when we took the plastic bag into the front wing, he stayed calm and he did a great job. That he was everything was under control from the first lap to the end. And it's honestly the perfect weekend. From Carlos also, because that we asked Carlos to do a tough job, to stay at less than 5 seconds of Piastri, but to put Russell at more than X, and it was all the race like this. And he did the job perfectly, and it's a great success for the team.
Go ahead, Jack.
I think you're going to enjoy tonight thoroughly, for sure, and salvage.
Yes, I think I can.
Yes,
Yeah,
100%. But like always, everything moves so quickly. Formula One is constantly moving, evolving, and looking forward to our next race, which is Canada. Another street, you could say hybrid circuit, but has similarities, slow speed, ride is important. This must give you guys and the team and everyone at the factory great confidence going forward into Canada, seeing the car that you had this weekend.
I would say that first doesn't matter the next track. Success in Monaco is giving confidence to everybody. But it's true that you have some similitude, even if it's much more high speed with low downforce and so. But we are going on the right direction, and I think it's true for everybody. And at the top 3, we are now all in 1/10 every single quali. And we don't have to think that everything is done, and that next quali you can be 6th and 7th easily. Yeah. It means that we will have to. They are strong.
It's going to be a big party. I think
we
Fred
have
has
to
to
speak,
go.
we have to
You have to
speak.
go.
I'm sorry.
You've won a quarter of the races this season. I think it's game on, Fred, but we'll leave it there. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Congratulations.
Ciao.
Pleasure
Ciao, ciao.
as ever. Would you like the trophy back? Fred?
We can keep that.
Would you like the trophy? Okay. I think we're taking the trophy. The trophy is now ours, Jack. I'm being told
I'll
the
keep that,
trophy's
keep
moving
that
up.
to think about for later.
I'm being told we have Andrea Stella coming in just a second as well, but
Great.
I'll just touch on with you first. Unfortunately, we saw two Alpine teammates touch this race. Esteban Ocon has come out and said, hands up, that was my bad. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry for the team from two good point scoring positions. How do you see what happened in the garage and indeed out on track today?
You know, to be honest, I'm completely staying out of it. You know, there's no comment from my side. I cannot, you know, comment on anything that someone's, you know, even like the crash up there, like I said. So, you know, at the end of the day, Pierre scored his first points. We had our first Q3 of the year, so I think we have to take the positives away from this weekend.
Yeah, okay, let's touch on the positive then. How much of a progression is this for Alpine? We know Monaco is a bit of an outlier in terms of track characteristic, but does this mean positive steps forward for your team?
I think just, you know, for sure it's positive, but we just take these little wins. I think, you know, we struggled so much on Friday and we turned it around. You know, we found a good few things in the simulator as well, and we were able to come from a poor start to our first Q3. You know, the turnaround in the under 24 hours was amazing. So I'm so happy that we were able to do that. A circuit which we were looking like characteristically was going to be very, very difficult for us. So it's good to know that we have the capabilities, that we're able to do that. And I have the faith in each and every one of the team that we're able to make these steps. So it's very rewarding when you're able to do that. But like I said to Fred, you know, F1's constantly moving and evolving. So we're going to keep our head down, keep pushing to make sure that we get this car further and further up the grid, where everyone and it deserves.
Great stuff, thank you. Let's hear from Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly, who picked up his first point today.
Hey Esteban, just firstly, how are you feeling? Because that was obviously a big hit.
Yeah, thank you. I'm okay, Lawrence. It was a hard launch in the air and a hard landing, but you know, I've had worse days on that side of things. So I think on that side of things, I'm okay. Obviously, it's an unfortunate incident, you know, for us to retire early in the race after a long race that they was gonna go later on. So yeah, a tough one. We tried to basically put the car back in the garage, so pull out of the fast lane to try and repair what we could repair, but unfortunately we discovered too much damage sustained. So a chaotic first lap, and I hope that you know, the team can score some points today.
You were alongside Pierre, obviously, as you made it through that corner. What's your view of just how it unfolded to Pierre? Giving you a bit more space?
Just an unfortunate incident. I didn't really review, so yeah, that's it.
Right, thank you.
Just red guys.
Hey Pierre, is it a case of mixed emotions? Because obviously you got your first point of the season today, which is great, but obviously there was that contact right at the start, and that must have caused some unfortunate damage to your car to limit your progress.
Right now, I must say I'm very pleased and very relieved for the whole team, because we knew Monaco was a place where there will be an opportunity, even if we struggle with the car since the start of the year. You know, Monaco is quite special, and we managed to seize the opportunity yesterday with that first Q3, and it was important to capitalize on that, and that's what we did. Unfortunately, it wasn't as how to call it, peaceful as we had planned, and yeah, I don't want to go into too much details, but yeah, it's just these things should not happen, and you know, it was clear instructions from the team on what to do and what we were supposed to do, and this wasn't respected. So yeah, I'm just glad we managed to get out of it with only you know, some front wing damage and a couple of things, and luckily with the red flag we managed to repair, but yeah, it should not happen.
For what it's worth, Esteban said on Twitter it was his fault, he's apologised. I guess this is the kind of thing you'll go away as a team now, have a chat, and try, ideally hope that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, that's the most important, and we got to make sure we can't afford as a team to risk to have both cars out, and you know, potentially we could have maybe scored points with both cars, and yeah, we'll talk about it, and I'm sure we'll move on and find solutions in the future.
Thanks, Pierre.
Thank you.
Well, good to hear from both Alpine drivers. Not a good day for Esteban Ocon, or indeed perhaps the team dynamic, but a point nonetheless for Pierre Gasly after that big stint here in Monaco. Well, we've left the Ferrari garage. I've got the trophy in my back pocket and a party invite for tonight as well. Alex Chase is going to join us in just a moment, but from one Alex to another, let's head to the studio to unpack those incidents in lap 1, Alex.
So it will be a 5-place grid penalty for Esteban Ocon, 2 penalty points as well. The team, the stewards, and himself, putting him as the culprit for this incident. Bruno Famin was quoted during the race as saying they will look at the consequences, a translation from French, but they will look at the consequences and they will be immediate for Esteban Ocon. So read into that what you will. He's declined to talk to the media after the race. You can see this is from Esteban Ocon's perspective. We're on our way into Portier, then the gap between the two as they make their way down towards Portier. Let's just have a look at it then. And it's a big lunge from a long way back from Esteban Ocon. He does get his car alongside. There's just not enough space, and then he has to run wide through the exit of Portier. And I think he's always going to squeeze his teammate there into the wall. One of those moves that would be slightly more understandable if it was for a great position, perhaps on a driver who's not your teammate, as Pierre Gasly is. But I think the team really upset with him because it is that move on the teammate. It's Alexander Albon who squeezes Gasly out of position. I think just a little bit of hot-headedness from Esteban Ocon there. What will those consequences be? Down at Alpine, will Bruno Famin calm down and eventually and that get ironed out in the team truck, or will there be something else to talk about as they move through the season? Interesting one. Interesting one for you to debate and you to think about, Jack.
Oh, thank you. Jack has actually left. He's had to dash off for team responsibilities, but we will have a good think about that. Alex can have a good think about that as well. Welcome to the post-race show. I'm not ashamed to admit, Alex Jakes, that I shed a tear or 2 or 10 in that last lap with the call of Charles Leclerc over the line. Will Buxton said in the pre-race show that it felt like Charles had his destiny in his own hands here. It was perhaps his greatest, most outright chance to win this one. There was no rain. There was there was a red flag, but there were no safety cars, and Max Verstappen wasn't on the usual impeccable form we're used to seeing. It had to get done today, didn't it?
It did. It had to be today, or otherwise he was going to have the yips about it for the rest of his career. It was hugely emotional at the end there, because whilst the race wasn't thrill a minute, that is an entire career's worth. Even beyond that, that's basically his entire existence. He's been dreaming of the moment. That happened at the end. And to weather the storms he has personally, losing his godfather, losing his father at such a young age, and to do it with a lightness of touch. You wouldn't know that Charles Leclerc has been through those experiences when you have a conversation with him. He's been a credit to his family all the way up the motor racing ladder, and he deserved that moment today.
You might make me go again if you carry on like this. I think we said it after Miami, didn't we? That sports stories like this, the ones where you see the hard yards, these are streets that he grew up in, that he walked as a young kid, that he got the bus onto school on, and now he's winning one of the most prestigious races of all on. It's just one of those stories that make us want to do what we're doing and make the drivers want to do what they're doing.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is that ultimately sport is just a series of results, but there are days that we transcend that. And this was a day where it was hugely significant. And the one thing I really wanted to get across on that final lap is just because he's from Monaco doesn't mean that it was a foregone conclusion he was going to get to Formula One. He needed other people to intervene. And I think the emotion got to him. I mean, when you've got tears in your eyes on the penultimate lap of the race and you're thinking, hold on, let's not go too soon, that's a special moment in Formula One history.
It's magic, isn't it? And he had to weather as well. He had to weather 2 difficult standing starts, one in which we'd seen a big first lap incident as well, one in which Oscar Piastri had been all over the back of him, and he had to do it again.
Which would have played on his mind. He's known since Friday night this was his to lose. Even if everyone else did a great job, he's had the legs on them all weekend. That's a different type of pressure. If you consider he's not won since 2022. So it's a complete mind set change, and then, yeah, I mean, he just deserved it. He was always going to win. It looks simple when it's completed, but there was a lot to get past psychologically for him.
And it's an entire weekend effort as well, and backed up brilliantly by Carlos Sainz, who sat in that car, a strategist himself, saying, wait a second, if Lando's given a free pit stop, that's a danger to me, but that's also a danger to Charles Leclerc as well. We've got to cover this off as a team. I mean, the foresight and the mental capacity to be driving at blistering speed, all right, perhaps not as blistering as we're used to seeing them, but driving at such speeds, but also able to think and do maths and have that foresight. It's such a skill.
Yeah, the extra capacity he has in the car, I think if he wants to go into management when he's done with his driving career, I think there'll be a lot of takers.
Yeah, absolutely. McLaren then, can we talk about how brilliantly they have approached this weekend as a team? Oscar Piastri P2, Lando Norris P4. I'd imagine that's a bit bittersweet for him. Yes, they're up there, and perhaps that was the best he could get today. Yeah. But ultimately, it was a race that just didn't fall into his hands.
And they know that in recent times. I mean, look, we deleted the pit stops today, so it's about as extreme as it gets. But in recent times, you know that it was all going to be on the strategy. It's a shame that we lost that, because that was McLaren's chance. They were adamant Sainz should have had an impeding penalty. They would have been adamant that you could have taken a race order at the end of Sector 1. It didn't break their way. But let's go back to the weakness of that car. The weakness of that car is slow speed. They've come here, they've put one car on the podium. Oh my word, that is a shrill whistle in our ears. They've very nearly put two cars on the podium. If they're strong here, they're going to be strong everywhere we go. And that is the thing McLaren will take away from this Grand Prix.
Yeah, they will. And as I mentioned earlier, we've had some great stories as well. A first point for Pierre Gasly, albeit very bittersweet for Alpine today. And a first point for Williams and for Alex Albon. Let's hear from him.
Alex, points. First points of the season, first points for the team as well. How pleased are you to bring those home?
Great. I mean, I think it was maybe a bit of a boring one. I wish I had a nicer race, more fun race to say how we scored our first points, but I'll take that. P9 is great for us and puts us on the boards, puts us in a positive momentum for the next few. Last year it took us a while to get some points, and then we really started to hit our stride. So. Don't know why we can't do that again. We've obviously chipped away at the car, brought some weight out the car, brought some small upgrades to the car, and it's paying off. So yeah, happy.
Did you think that? Because I think before the start of the race, you said you might be able to go after Yuki. Kind of gave it a go, but it didn't really seem to pan out, did it? Oddly.
Yeah, I mean, the pace was painfully slow, like painfully slow, and I could see he had pace, and I just thought to myself, these guys. They're playing it way too safe. I mean, you can go a bit quicker. We got lapped after like 20 laps. But anyway, to be fair, at the end of the race it was tough. The tyres did do great, but I didn't think it needed to be so slow like it was.
Well, congratulations overall anyway. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we had some very slow speeds around this track, or slower than we're certainly used to. Tsunoda was one of those drivers who created a big gap in front when he was told to go. I did laugh at Julian Palmer saying, I hope he knows that he's got 2 seconds and a lap to catch back up to Lewis Hamilton. I mean, it was quite the gap he built up. But look, he wanted to sit there in 8th position, bring home more points for VCARB. That's what matters today.
Yeah, 5th point scorer of the year. That is, from 8 races, about as good as you could expect at the start of the season for Yuki Tsunoda. Yeah, all right, they were driving to a prescribed pace, and he was so relieved when he didn't have to do it, and then he couldn't pull away anyway. So, like, listen, he's done the job for the team. He's not got a route up to Red Bull, but I think what he's doing in this Formula One season is elongating his Formula One career. Might not be a spot on the grid next year, but I think Yuki's coming back as a result of his performances at the start of this season.
I would be shocked if we don't see Yuki Tsunoda on the grid next year, though.
Yeah.
I hope he stays at VCARB, or I hope there is a seat for him somewhere, because he thoroughly deserves them from the performances that he's been putting in. Just in front of Yuki were George Russell and Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen as well. Your thoughts on Mercedes and what happened out there? This pit lane is absolute chaos, because they didn't get that outlap with Lewis Hamilton right, whether that was a miscommunication from the garage, from the pit wall to Lewis to say, this is critical, you've got to push, or not. And whether Lewis didn't quite grasp the extent of the situation remains to be seen, but it didn't get done. And therefore, Max Verstappen was able to close that gap and get within 4/10 of George Russell.
Yeah, sloppy. There's no other word for that. The whole team did not perform in that moment, and they lost a chance of upgrading points. Now, are Mercedes going to sweat at all over that lost point? No, but I think it's a marker for all those at that team. Okay, let's tighten up the processes again. Let's have another look, because if they get the car right and they're suddenly at the front of the field, that's the sort of moment that could cost you a podium or a win.
Uncharacteristically sloppy, really, from Mercedes, because we're so used to that being such a well-oiled machine. What I think we have seen here, though, is a bit of a turn of pace, a bit of a step on for Mercedes. They said in Imola that the upgrades that they have had on the car are proving to be a bit of a North Star. They now know the direction, the path that they are going in. Monaco's a bit of an outlier, though. Will we see more of that in Canada?
I think they were really pleased with the car in Imola. Certainly George was over qualifying pace. Canada's going to give us more of a complete picture, no, but it's going to give us more of an idea. I still think they're the fourth fastest car in Formula One, and I think they will remain that in Canada. But they will know if they're going in the right direction. They're just paying for the lost time for getting the concept wrong in 22.
How frustrated do you think Max Verstappen is after today? At one point he asked for a pillow, he was ready for a nap. I think he was that bored by that race. I mean, he's so used to being out front in clean air and putting his nose out there and getting over the line first, and not to be today.
I think someone's going to have to give him a race at some point, because he's either out front and he doesn't have a lot to do, or he's stuck in the pack and he doesn't have a lot to do. Thank goodness Lando chased him all the way home in Imola. But yeah, Red Bull are going to take notice of that, though, because we've had 4 different winners. I don't think many people, when we left Bahrain, expected Red Bull to be defeated 3 times by the time that we got to the end of Monaco. So I think they'll regroup as well, but it was lost in qualifying, and he was always going to have a long afternoon. Everyone outside the first 2 rows knew that.
I loved your commentary at the finish and Charles Leclerc's wonderful moments, but I also loved the moment in which Stroll pitted. And I think you shrieked, something is happening, because at that point we'd not had a whole lot of action, had we? But yeah, it was interesting. Fernando Alonso, in a way, sacrificed his race and any chance of points, built up that gap for Lance Stroll to be able to get that free pit stop over Gasly to hopefully take it to him, get the overtake done, sneak that 1 point, and he punctures.
Yeah, I mean,
when it rains, it pours for Aston Martin, it seems here.
Good tactics. They worked really nicely as a team. I'm trying to think of a positive when you put all that effort in and then he brushes the barrier immediately. Listen, it was worth a go. It's not to be, but at least the team management there executed a tidy strategy. Could have led to points.
But I think that also indicates that while sitting at home and sitting here, we thought they're just pootling around Monaco. They aren't. They are putting in perfection, perfect laps, time and time again. And when you get an inch wrong, you do what Stroll did.
Yes. Yeah, to be honest, it was actually a useful illustration, wasn't it? In terms of, look how easy it is to brush the barrier at a place where I don't think anyone clipped that wall all the way through the weekend. And that's undone his race. That's undone his chance of a charge back to Gasly and Albon. So, frustration, but yeah, we're talking percentage points, close to 100. Had they dialed it down to 98? Yes. Are they still exquisitely talented? Yes.
Let's look ahead to this season. As I said to Fred Vasseur before he was whisked away for the party tonight, I hear he's
with the little trolley and the trophy as well.
They left the trolley and Fred left, and I thought I was going home with the Monaco trophy. They've won a quarter of the races all season.
Yeah.
McLaren have won another race. Yes, Max Verstappen and Red Bull have won the rest. Can I say we've got a season yet? Can I start to get a bit excited by this?
Yeah, Red Bull are going to have to perform at 100%. Max Verstappen said it earlier in the weekend. If they don't get everything right, they're going to get beaten. In the constructors especially, Ferrari are coming roaring up to the back of Red Bull. And Red Bull can't afford any more unreliability. In recent times, it's not been the easiest race. If you think last year, Alonso was chasing quite close to Verstappen there. The year before, Sainz was doing the same thing. So that's not a Red Bull track that's been super simple in recent times either. Yes, is the short answer. I think we have got a season.
Great. I'm going to get excited then officially. I can't wait for Canada already. Lando Norris has picked up a win, Max Verstappen, Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc. 4 race winners so far this season. Remember, we only had 2 in 2023. You feel deep down in your bones that Oscar Piastri will be our next race winner, and it's a matter of when, not if, Alex.
Yeah.
Because a P2 today and an aggressive drive as much as he could was impressive.
Yeah, did the right thing at the first turn on lap number 1 after the first start. Because if he seeds that apex, the other drivers at the front of the field go, oh, okay, soft touch if I throw one to the inside. So that's quite an important statement to hang it out around the outside of Sandoval. Risked his race there, but hey, got him P2 in that moment.
It did indeed. Let's hear from him.
Hey Oscar, well, congratulations on your best result of the season. You must be delighted or a little bit disappointed you didn't quite get to fight for that win.
Yeah, I mean, obviously very happy with the podium. It's been a great weekend from start to finish, I feel like, and nice to finally get a result on the board. I feel like the last few weeks we've been very, very strong, just with no results to show. And today to finish second is a great result for everybody involved. So very happy with that. Tried my best to try and sneak past, but just, yeah, too difficult.
Is it particularly good that you've done it at a track like Monaco, such a tough one to do, and you had some damage on that car, so it could have all gone wrong, couldn't it, at the start?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the floor after the red flag, I thought it was going to be a very, very long race. But yeah, I think the pace at the beginning was so slow that it was helping me out a little bit. But then the last sort of 15, 20 laps, when we started to go, I didn't have an answer, and you know, clearly Carlos and Lando were quicker behind, but I was pretty happy we were at Monaco at that point. So yeah, I think with the damage and everything considered, happy with P2.
Congratulations, Oscar. Thanks.
Thank you.
P2 for Oscar Piastri, and he was in a Ferrari sandwich. I think this is a really positive step forward for Ferrari. A win in Australia, a win here. Where do they go from here, though? Because under Fred Vasseur, and with both drivers firing on all cylinders, it could be an incredibly competitive battle between them, the Red Bulls, and McLaren.
That's a chap trying to add Adrian Newey to that equation. The man's building a dream team. Where they go next is they try to improve the car medium and high speed, because they've always been good at low-speed circuits. That's always inherently be good with the car. So if they improve that, and Imola actually was quite promising. They were a little bit disconsolate after Imola, weren't they? But that had good signs as well. So I think it's now incredibly close. As long as they give their cars, their drivers a chance to fight with the cars at the front, which has traditionally been Red Bull, I think they're going to be in the mix at most races.
Oh, exciting stuff. Let's hear from both Ferrari drivers now.
Hey Carlos, well, considering where you were on that first lap facing the barrier and stopped, you must be delighted to be on the podium after all that.
Yeah, it was a bit of a relief. You know, sometimes you're unlucky, like there with that slight contact with Oscar. Sometimes you don't even get any puncture or anything in the car, and today I had a slight contact and I got the puncture and I was feeling gutted. And then suddenly the red flag that saved a bit my day, and from there onwards, really, like we expected. You know, pace was very strong in the race, but impossible to pass. I did everything I could to keep Lando under control, keep the safety car gaps, keep the pit stop gaps, and bring home a 1-3 for the team. That was the main priority.
I know it's been a bit of a difficult weekend for you. You haven't felt super comfortable, and you've had a run of races. We haven't been on the podium. Is that good for the confidence? Good kind of going forward now? Got something out of it?
I always felt like the race pace was going to be good. I was the fastest on Friday practice in terms of race pace, and I knew today with a long stint on the hards and my tire management I could be strong, but it's Monaco, you cannot pass. And even though I put Oscar a bit under pressure there at the end to try and force him into doing a mistake, he stayed strong, and there was no way through.
Great stuff. See you at the next one. It's the race you've always wanted to win. You've done it for yourself, you've done it for your dad, you've done it for Jules. Just tell me how you feel right now.
I feel extremely good. Yeah, it's. I think there's a lot of things adding to this weekend. First of all, it's my home Grand Prix. Second, I've had 2 opportunities in the past that I've lost, which things that weren't really in my control, and that was extremely difficult to manage those very difficult moments. And also, you don't really know whether you are going to get another opportunity to win this race, and it's such a difficult race to win that you don't know. And I knew there was an opportunity this weekend. And then last, it's my home race. It's the race that made me dream of becoming a Formula 1 driver one day. It's the race that I used to watch with my dad, that has done absolutely everything for me to get to where I am today. Our dream was to race here in Monaco in Formula 1. I wouldn't have imagined when I was younger that I would race with Ferrari one day in Monaco and win this race. And that was obviously the ultimate dream, right before being world champion, of course, but the ultimate dream. And the fact that I managed to do that, I feel like I did not only accomplish my own dream, but also the one of my father, the one of my mother as well, that has sustained me in everything I have done since then, and that has been an incredibly strong woman when we all lost my dad. My brothers that have always been so supportive with me, my girlfriend, all my family, all my friends. And the special thing about this race is that it's such a small country that I've got everybody here. And everybody was around the track, and exit of turn 1 I had my best friends. In the pits I had my family, and everywhere on the track I had friends, and that makes it so incredibly special. So it's a very, very special moment. I did not expect the race to be so difficult to manage emotionally and mentally wise. I had so many thoughts of the people I have mentioned already in the last 10 laps. And that was very difficult to manage, because even though I knew the pace was extremely good, you have to stay on it on a track like this, and it was very, very difficult.
So was it just a bit of a release then in that moment when you crossed the line, then you embraced your mechanics, then you stood on the podium that you'd always wanted to stand on?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. It was definitely a very, very special moment, a moment I will never forget. I will keep inside me forever.
Great stuff, congratulations.
I am trying to keep it together as Charles Leclerc tries to describe the emotion that he felt during this race and how difficult it was to manage that emotion. And you said it earlier, there's a light touch to Charles Leclerc, and you could easily forget or not realise what he has been through in his life and what he has spoken about there. Losing Jules Bianchi, losing his father, the very reason he is here as a Formula 1 driver. And yet that emotion was stirred within him on the streets here.
Sometimes Grand Prix Sundays are about a driver going out and executing a job, and sometimes it means the world. His entire life has built up to today. It's that simple. And I'm not surprised with 10 laps to go. How do you keep the emotions out when you grew up as a schoolboy on the main straight, when you went to school over the hill and got the bus there, when, of course, you're thinking of your father, and he raced here in Formula 3. And Charles has been proud in the past to carry those helmet colours. But that's a special, special story from a lovely chap, and wonderful to hear him so open about the emotions that he carried all the way to the checkered flag.
Absolutely, that I'm now carrying all the way to the end of this post-race show. So let's take a look at the schedule for our next stop, and that is the Canadian Grand Prix. Weekend warm-up, we will be on air with you at 3:30 p.m. Friday, free practice, it's a normal Grand Prix weekend, 1:30 for FP1 and 5 p.m. for FP2. Moving to Saturday, FP3, 12:30, this is all track time of course in Canada. Qualifying at 4 p.m. and the race at 2 p.m. Well, there we go. Alex Jakes, what an occasion this has been. Yes, not a classic race, not one that you're going to replay the highlights reel, but one perhaps where you will replay those final laps from Charles Leclerc, when you understand and appreciate all that it meant to him and the way that you called it home as well.
Yeah, and amid all the emotions, he still had the mental capacity to joke with his engineer. Just have a laugh. Why not? Just have a bit of a giggle towards the end there. That was lovely to see. They've won, by the way, in their second race together as race engineer and driver pairing. So that's special. But yeah, the emotions of the day, as you said, that's why we do this job.
That is why we do what we do, and that's why the drivers do it as well, in that constant search for this feeling and this emotion. Canada, can I get some early thoughts from you on what to expect? You'll be on site with me.
I'm looking forward to Canada immensely because it's going to be more of the same, I think. I think it's going to be McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull. I think Red Bull are going to be much further forward. They'll be back to their usual best. And I think it's going to be 6 cars in contention for the win once again, which is really strange to say because at the start of the year, I thought we were in for a repeat. That's not going to be the case. You've got to earn your Grand Prix victories in 2024.
I'm sure that Max Verstappen, Red Bull, Sergio Perez as well will come back fighting. But today, here in Monaco, despite the best attempts of Mercedes, of Red Bull, of McLaren, Oscar Piastri on the podium, and indeed teammate Carlos Sainz as well, the streets of Monaco that means so, so much to him belong to Charles Leclerc. Thank you for watching. We will see you in Canada. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Montreal. A home race.
Let's take a great result.